Good morning. Warm greetings to my students. Today's topic of lecture is generalized anxiety disorder, also popularly known as GAD. So, according to the DSM-5, when assessing for the generalized anxiety disorder, the clinical professionals they are mostly looking at the following symptoms where there is the presence of excessive anxiety and worry about a variety of topics, events and activities about everything in general. The worry, and this is quite different from phobias, where the anxiety is becomes very specific to a specific object. So this worry occurs for not more than 6 months and is clearly excessive. So when the client comes to you and you're taking the case history and the client is narrating the chief concerns, one of the foremost things you have to ask is, since how long are these symptoms persisting? So if the client says that it's 6 months, so and it's a lot of anxiety more than they can control, then it would hint that the client could have the generalized anxiety disorder. And this kind of worry, whatever the client experiences, it's so much that they are not able to cope up with it and they require clinical interventions. Now, the anxiety and the worry are accompanied by three or more of the following or cognitive symptoms. So, edginess and restlessness. Because there is a lot of hormones that are being released in the body, such as cortisol, it brings up your heart rate, respiratory system, the blood moves towards the heart, and everything in your body becomes very fidgety. You want to move around, you have so much of energy that you would want to move around. That's why you become very restless. And what happens when the cortisol is overproduced over time? So the body reaches a point where it becomes so tired that it shuts down, so it becomes very fatigued. So even if if the entire night you stayed awake worrying about your exams, your life in general, and also worrying about the current situations in your life, then it's you're more likely to have so much of excessive anxiety that it affected your sleeping patterns. So you wake up in the morning feeling very tired. So you say that I don't know why I'm feeling so tired. I went to bed at the right time, but I don't know why I'm feeling like this. So this is one of the physical symptoms that could happen to your bodies. A cognitive symptom that can happen during the generalized anxiety disorder is impaired concentration, and you will lose your ability to concentrate on tasks when you have excessive anxiety, because there are so much of thoughts in your head that you will be not able to prioritize it at the moment. Then there is increased irritability. So inside you will be very irritable. So when somebody passes a comment, it could be a very light humor, but you could be reacting very aggressively towards that person. So you could have built up irritability that the other person cannot see. And there is increased muscle aches and soreness because your body is constantly on the go, supplying hormones to all of the organs in your body. So you would feel a lot of muscle aches as well as sores. You would also have very much difficulty sleeping, staying asleep, or even having falling asleep. And when you will have sleep problems, then it's more likely to affect your emotions and thoughts in your day-to-day life more usually. Excessive worry um, means worrying even when there is no specific threat present or in a manner that is disproportionate to the actual risk. Even if the actual risk is presented in front of you, say that you're given a task to complete within a particular deadline, but you are so worried about how perfect the task has to be, how you want to gain an approval from your supervisors. So you are making a mountain of the task which is given to you. So as a result, this could lead to a wear and tear of your body and mind. So, someone struggling with generalized anxiety disorders has a high percentage of their waking hours worrying about something. And they always, this is a very important feature if you notice in the clients with GAD, they always try to seek assurance from others that everything is going to be fine and there wouldn't be any disastrous consequences in the future. The generalized anxiety disorder can manifest differently across the age groups. So, this is in regard to the adults, their worry could be more related to their job responsibilities or the health of the family members, financial, and some sudden life circumstances such as loss of a loved one. So, how are they able to cope after a sudden loss of a loved one, and so on. In children, it could be worry that is relating to the quality of their performance. For example, exams, tests, getting positive reinforcements from the teachers. So, this can manifest into physical symptoms such as sweating, nausea, diarrhea. So, GAD, as we can see here, it's not just exclusively confined to the adults, but even the children can experience it. So the anxiety, worry, and other associative symptoms makes it really hard to carry out day-to-day responsibilities, causing relationships in work, causing problems in relationships, work, and personal lives. So, when the client is talking to you about the chief concerns, one of the very important things that we have to observe is it causing them a significant clinical distress in their social, personal, and occupational functioning? And depending on that, you would categorize it as a generalized anxiety disorder. So, in order to give a diagnosis of GAD, these symptoms will have to be unrelated to any other medical conditions. So, whatever the worry, excessive anxiety the client is having, it should not be due to any other drugs that are being prescribed by the doctors or the medicine. So, you would have to take a detailed medical history of the client when you are obtaining the chief concerns. You would also have to rule out the possibility that this worry is not caused due to effects of substance use. Okay, and the person could be in the withdrawal period, so you would have to keep in mind all of these factors. Now, differential diagnosis is done in order to rule out possibilities of other psychological disorders. So, there could be many symptoms in generalized anxiety disorders that could overlap with some other symptoms of anxiety disorder. And you have to rule out that these symptoms are not due to obsessive compulsive disorder, a panic disorder, a social anxiety disorder. Although these conditions are discussed more generally by the public, there are specific criteria that would need to be met in order to be diagnosed as a generalized anxiety disorder. So when this is also the last point if you see in the PowerPoint slide. This is a very important point that you could observe in some of the clients. There could be a very much self-sabotaging behavior, such as increased self-criticism, decreased love for self. So when someone engages in self-sabotaging behavior, such as procrastination, they can be perceived with self-regulation and behavioral conditions. So they could have trouble managing their day-to-day life routines because of their excessive worry, and they could also have trouble, have bringing their routines or schedules under a proper time period. So this is one example that is a example of a self-sabotaging behavior. You can go onto the internet and research more upon what are some more examples of the self-sabotaging behavior that people with generalized anxiety disorder can experience. Thank you so much for patiently listening. I hope to see you all in the next class. Thank you and have a good day.